Okay, da. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As always, I do hope you're all well. Bit of a different video today. I'm not outside, I'm clearly in the shelter of my home. Today's video is going to be about finding your first or next car. But speaking of buying your first car, this is not the right attire. So let's change that now. Hi, I'm Jay. I'm the head sales executive here at Moto Motors. First of all, please ignore my shorts. Secondly, how can I help you today? Are you looking for your first car? Well, you're in safe, trusty hands. So, buying your first car, I'd only suggest one place. Go for Autotrader. Don't look anywhere else. It's your first car, you need something reliable, and you need to find it in a trustworthy place. So, I'd say Autotrader is your pharmacy, Facebook Marketplace is a drug dealer outside, and then Gumtree is a drug dealer underneath the bridge that will sell you a car for 3 packs of Skittles and half a gram of cocaine. So with that in mind, let's head straight to Autotrader. As you can see, I've put in a random postcode because I don't want to expose my postcode. If you live there, let me know, I'll send you £1 million. Right, so first of all, distance. Autotrader is great because it shows you many increments, so 1 mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, 25 miles. I suggest you go for around 50 miles because 50 miles is within your area kind of. You can get there back and forth with a parent, with a friend, whoever's car you're going with, even in a taxi, won't be too bad. But I'd say go for 50 miles because that's not too far. Most cars will be within your radius. And also that means you can get there back and forth, go and see the car, go and test the car, negotiate in person, all of that stuff. It's better to do it where you can. So I'm going to go with 50 miles. We're going to do this from a perspective that you don't know anything about cars. So you just passed your test, you really need a car, you've got a job waiting for you, you've got places to be, you haven't got a car. We're going to go for any car, no makes or models. Cash or finance, go cash. You do not want to finance your first car. Minimum maximum price is obviously up to you. I'd say go minimum price £500 because people do go on to Autotrader and post up these dingers and sheds. So go above £500 because most of the time below 500 will be crashed cars, damaged cars, no MOTs, damaged cars, as I said before. So do 500 minimum and then max price is obviously up to you. If your max price is £2,000, go for 2,500 because there will be cars just above there, and also you can haggle it down with certain aspects. So the damage to the car, if there's a short MOT, bits and bobs you can negotiate with to your price point. So if let's say we want a car for £2,000, we're going to search up to 2,500. So straight away we've got 5,700 options. Sorry. From here we're going to go for more options because this all is filtered down a bit more, obviously to what you need. Body types. It's your first car. You want to go for a hatchback. You can get a few convertibles like the Vauxhall Tigras, there's the Peugeot 206Cs I believe, or 106Cs. Either way, there are some convertibles out there, so go ahead if you want to. The bigger cars, estates, I don't want to go for an SUV. Saloons maybe, coupes more likely. MPVs if you've got a family of 7, and pickups if you're a builder. So we go for hatchbacks, coupes and convertibles. Mileage. You don't want anything too high. It needs to be reliable. It needs to be something you can use all the time. So we'll go for below 50,000 miles. Gearbox, automatic and manual, depends on what you passed in. If you passed in a manual car, you can do both. If you passed in an automatic car, you can go for an automatic. So we'll leave that as any for now, because obviously you can drive any of these. Petrol and diesel, there's only 5 options for diesel, sorry. Diesel's better in the long run. The diesel's a bit cheaper, it's also longer to run. You get a lot more MPG out of diesel cars. Petrol, if you care about the sound of your car. Petrol is also a bit more smoother, so obviously that's down to you again. We're going to leave it open for now. Yeah, so with insurance, there's a sweet spot of 10 years prior to the present date. So obviously 2021 today, and all year this year. So you want to go for around 2009 to about 2012 There's a sweet spot for insurance of how old a car is, but also it's not too new, so it's not too expensive. It's not too old, so it won't crash all the time. There's a sweet spot, as I said. So go for about 10 years prior to the current date, and you'll find a good cheap price for your insurance. So minimum age will go 2009, as I said, and max will go for 2012. Specification, so your colour, I'm not really bothered. You might care. If you do, go ahead, select your colours that you want. Doors, if you've got friends, get a 5-door. If you're lonely like me, get a 3-door. I'm gonna leave it open for now. Minimum maximum seats, same principle. Engine sizes, you won't really be too bothered about that. Obviously you don't want anything massive. I would say stick below 1.6, so we'll go maximum size 1.6. Minimum, you'll get a litre minimum, which is fine. Engine power, don't worry about that. Acceleration, again, don't worry about that. And the majority of your first cheap cars will be front-wheel drive. As you can tell, it's already selected, that's all there is. Now, the nice thing about Auto Trader is it has this function right over here, running costs. So your annual tax is how much you pay for your car to be on the road every year. This can be 6 months or 12 months. The cheaper cars will be 12 months, £30, or £0 if it's a hybrid somehow. And then obviously your more expensive cars will be the bigger cars or the bigger engine cars. They'll be up to £525 these days. So you can select your annual tax if you want. There you go, up to £20, up to £30, up to £230, and then up to £210. You choose. I'm not going to choose for now. You can. Insurance group, definitely go for under 10, because obviously your insurance groups go from 1 to 50, 1 being your cheapest, 50 being your highest. So that'll be the supercars, the sports cars, high power cars, big cars, stuff like that. So go for under 10. It'll keep your insurance cheap, and in the future be cheap as well. So I'll click that. Fuel consumption, as I said before, diesel cars will get high fuel consumption, so you're looking around 60 there. If that bothers you, then go ahead and select it. Obviously I'm not going to choose it now. CO2 emissions, if you care about that, you might be in an emission zone, which obviously you can tick at the bottom here. Only show ULEZ compliant cars, which means that certain cities around the UK will have emission zones, so that's areas around the city, within the main city, that you can only drive certain cars in. So old diesels, they won't be allowed in there. You know, any old cars won't be allowed in there, any massive engine cars won't be allowed in there. So if you live in any of those areas, tick that option. For now, I'm going to leave it open because I don't live in one of those areas. And straight away we've got 58 cars. That's quite good because it narrows it down to good cars that you can find, obviously within the specification that you're looking for. So go ahead and click search. So into the cars. Now, you can sort by relevance. There's also price lowest, price highest. I doubt you want to go for highest. Distance, obviously that's how far away from you. Make and model, I'm not really sure how you'd filter make and models. Mileage, so the lowest mileage cars will be first. Age, newer cars will be first, so then newest first. And most recent, so that's the advertisements that have come up the most recently. So that's a good idea because that means they've just been on the market and people are ready to take phone calls, take messages and negotiate about the car. So go for lowest first, price first. Now, you may see here in the yellow, Cat S and Cat D. If you see categorized cars, run away. Don't go anywhere near them. They will bump your insurance and also they'll probably break down whilst you're driving. So stay away from those cars. If you see any of these cars with categories, so Cat D, Cat S, Cat N and Cat C, stay clear of them. So straight away, we can rule this Chevrolet Betiza out and this Citroen C1. Citroen C1, a bit Mexican there. So, let's look at the first car we find. It's a Chevrolet Spark. Small little car, cheap little car, doesn't matter. So, price, £1,350. Obviously that's the bottom end of our budget, so it's nice, we get a spare bit of money. What have we got? We've got a 1.2 litre LS, I'm not even sure what LS means. It's a 5-door, perfect run around, that's what you want to hear. 2011, so 2011 reg. Again, like I said, that's perfect 10-year sweet spot for your insurance. It's a hatchback, of course it is. It's got 44,000 miles on it, which is good. Cars average around 10,000 miles a year, so anything below that is great. So this is obviously doing 44,000, that's like 5,000 miles a year. Excellent news for you. It's a 1.2 litre, as I mentioned before. It's got 80 horsepower, if you're worried about horsepower, you shouldn't really be. It's a manual. Obviously, if you drive manual, go for it. If you can't, stay clear. It's a petrol car. As I said, we didn't choose petrol or diesel, so there we go. It's had 4 previous owners. You know, you want to keep it kind of low. 4 is quite high, I'll be honest. I mean, my Golf's on 7, so I can't really talk. The previous owners, keep it as low as possible. No service history. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. You want service history for your car. It means the car's been well looked after and it makes it more reliable for you in the future. And again, ULEZ compliant. As I said, there's a few red flags there, so stay clear of that one. So after some scrolling, I found this car. Looks great, first of all. So let's read some of the details straight away. So finance available. Auto-trader does this, it highlights certain features about the car. So if you scroll up, you might see a few more features. Here we go, here's one. No admin fees, which is great. That means you won't get any additional fees on top of the price that you agree with the seller, of course. Great price, so it gives you a below price or above price. If it's a good price, it'll say great price, of course. And if it's a bit high, it'll say bad price or highly priced. Next, we've got finance available. So obviously the seller will allow you to finance the car. I don't think you will need to because they're quite cheap. Hopefully you have saved up for your cars. Again, here we go, in grey, lower price and no admin fees again. But back to the car that we liked first of all. So let's read it. It's a Ford Ka for £1,825. So in the middle of our budget, below 2,000, which is good for us, which we like. So again, cheap for us. It's a Ford Ka 1.2 litre, good for insurance. It's a studio edition, so obviously there's different trims of these cars. This is the studio one. It's a 3-door. That's not fine. That's fine for me. Straight away, bargain. See about that. It has 54,000 miles. So as I said before, cars average around 10,000 a year. That's good for us. 54,000. That's low. FSH. So that means full service. No, it's wrong around. Full service history. That's great news. That's a great sign. That's something you want to go for. And there's FSH and then there's PSH, which is partial service history. That means that in the service book, there's a bit of service history in there. Good, but not perfect. You want to go for these full service history cars. That means the car's been well looked after and is reliable for you. So 2009, lower end of our range. So obviously we choose 2009 to 2012. That's fine. Hatchback, as we said, of course, 50,000 miles, 1.2 litre, 69 horsepower. Great number, but it doesn't really matter about the power. It's a manual, as I said before. If you drive a manual, go for it. If you don't, stay clear. It's petrol, doesn't bother us. It's got 3 previous owners, which is a little high, but you know, we can work with it. I think go for a 2 as your maximum. 3, maybe not. That means it's passed through quite a few hands. You don't know really what's happened to it. And ULEZ compliant. Good if you live in one of those areas. So click on the ad. Now straight away, go straight for the images. So I'm gonna click on there. Outside looks fine. It's a great colour, great condition. It's got hubcaps, tyres. Doesn't have a lot of tread in there, which is good. Next picture. You can see the front badge, it's missing some of the lacquer on the badge, so that's another negotiation point. You should probably get 20 quid off for that, maybe. The plastic trim's fading a bit, as you see it's a bit more grey, not too black, so probably haggle that down as well. The headlights, they look quite clean. It's good news. Let's go on to the next picture. Again, bodywork looks fine, good colour. Rear end, yep, everything looks fine again, everything looks straight. There's no wide panel gaps, I think it looks great. Actually, small little features like that are quite helpful. So you may be able to see there's a little circular mirror on the wing mirror. So that's for the kind of blind spot areas. It's kind of enlarged like a fisheye blob eye effect. That's a good sign. That means that someone who cares about their driving and definitely checks their mirrors and takes care of their car has been driving this car. That's good news for you. It's small details that really matter. Now, picture number 10 of 18, we see a dent. So this is on the driver's side front wing. We can see a small dent just above the wheel line. It's nothing too major, but again, it is a dent, it's a haggling point. You can talk about this, you can say, oh, it's going to cost me £250 for repair, it's going to cost me £100 for repair, whatever you want. You can start negotiating on this point, because these small little points you can really negotiate on. And depending on how long the person's had the car on the advertisement, you can probably get away with it, knock you off £100, £50, whatever you want. Small dents like that, I wouldn't be afraid of. I would say you can go for that car, as long as it's not categorised. So some cars will be categorised with Cat N, as in small body damage. It counts, it affects the car, so stay away from it. This isn't categorised. It's a tiny bit of damage. From what I see, it looks like someone just sat on the car and it's dented in. Nothing major. It all seems fine, so don't be too afraid of small dents like that. Some more pictures, move around the car. Ooh. That's a cute dog. I mean, it's a great car. Yes, I would suggest it to you. Now, this is a great picture. It shows you a lot about the car. So, revs are on. That means the engine's on. That means the engine starts, engine drives. Good news for you. There's no lights on the dashboard apart from the driver's seatbelt. Obviously, it's going to be under because I doubt he's driving the car. I doubt he's got a seatbelt on. Temperature, don't worry about that so far because you just start the car. I doubt the car's going to be hot. The mileage is genuine, so it says 54,342. The advertisement says 54,500. That's fine. They might drive it a bit, so it might go up. Either way, it's in around the same realm. Nothing to be afraid of there. Look around the interior. All the buttons look fine. No scratches, no dings, no buttons missing. That's all fine by me. Service booklet, that's great news. It shows they've got service history, so they've got one at 4,000, they've got one at, I believe, 15,000 there, one at 20,000, one at 27,000, one at 40,000, and one at 54,000. So that's really recent. That's good news for you. That means the car's ready to go. It's all serviced, it's all checked up, and you've probably got a really long drive ahead before you start servicing it again. Again, looking around the interior, everything looks clean. There's no pickings, there's no burns, there's no cuts, there's no dog hairs on the seats. There's footwell covers, which are good. That's good news for you. That means they care about the car, they want to keep it clean. Everything else is absolutely fine. Coming to the last two photos, it's got this funky little Hawaiian SpongeBob background seating, and again 2 little seats in the back. I do see a little wet patch, quite a large wet patch actually. That's quite concerning. Okay, we'll pick up on that later. Bit strange. So you've gone through the pictures, you're happy with the car, you're happy with the way it looks, you like the colour of it, you like the design of it, it all seems good and dandy. Good and dandy? Fine and dandy, there we go. So again, overview 54,000 miles, manual 1.2, hatchback, petrol, 3 doors, 4 seats, 3 owners and ULEZ compliant. What do we have next? So the description. HPI clear, that means there's no damage beforehand, hasn't been stolen, hasn't been, as I said, hasn't been damaged, hasn't been written off. Hasn't been reported to police at any time, so it's all clear there. MOT till February 2022, that's good news for you. That means you've got 7 months ahead of you before you need to go ahead and get the MOT done again. Low mileage, 54,000 miles as before, £30 tax, or he's put 30 tax. I'm pretty certain he means £30. £30 tax for the year, that's great, that's really cheap for you, brilliant news. Just service with full history. As you've seen in the history book, 54,000 miles, it's been serviced. Great news. Very good tyres. Again, great news. Long-lasting tyres for you. All forward advisory on the last MOT have been done. Excellent news. So, on the previous MOT, there's been forward advisory, so there might have been tyres changing, brake pads changing, oil filter low, window wiper washer fluids low. All those things have been fixed and sorted. That's great news for you. Great looking car, obviously that's to your taste. A few age-related marks, so obviously that dent, and there may be a few chips here and there from the paint, obviously from driving on the road. That doesn't really matter. Obviously if it matters to you, then bring it up with the seller. No corrosion or rust, that's great. I don't think you would see corrosion or rust on such a new car. Very clean interior, good. Ford wallet with service history on the V5, great news for you. And excellent first car all run around. That's what you like to see. 3 owners, £1,825. So you can get annual insurance quote through Cabela Makeup straight from here. Also, the insurance group is 03E, which is excellent news for you because it goes from 1 to 30. 3 is really low on the insurance group scale, so it's going to be quite cheap for you. Annual tax, £30 instead of 4. Fuel, right, urban is on the motorway, so doing 70, doing 60, you'll be getting about 44 miles per gallon. That's great news. Extra urban, so that's around the city, just driving 30 miles per hour, that'd be 64, great news. And combined, obviously, in the middle of those, doing B roads, 40 miles per hour, dual carriageways, you'll get about 55 miles per gallon. They're all great numbers. It's a small engine car. I doubt you will be racing on racetracks or doing 18 on the motorway, especially with a black box. So those numbers are great for you. Now you can get a full check on the car. This is with the front number plate. So you take the number, cute dog, LD59WMX. You can do a HPR check on these. You can do a vehicle check on these. There's a few apps on there that are free. There's a few that are expensive because obviously they do a full thorough check. And Autotrader also offer one at the bottom here for a check of a full history. So you can do that if you want to. Obviously I'm not going to because I'm not going to buy the car. So after all that, if you're happy with the car, go ahead, call the number at an appropriate time. So about, let's say after 5 or after 6 in the afternoon and before 8 or 9. This is because this is normally when people are off, they're chilling, not doing much, they're ready for a call. Go ahead, call the private seller, in this case the private seller, and talk about the car. Maybe arrange a date to go and see it. First of all, ask if it's still available. Sort out a time and date to go and see it, and then take it from there. Haggle it down, talk about certain aspects of the car, ask about the history of the car. So ask why they're selling it, ask how long they've had it, what they use it for, how often have they driven it, all the stuff like that you want to know. So there is the guide to buying your first car, maybe your next car, but most likely your first car. I hope this has been helpful to you. If it has been, let me know in the comments below. Just type, this has been helpful. If not, then type, this hasn't been helpful. I'm not really bothered. Either way, I want it to be helpful to someone. If it was helpful to one person, I'm happy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Bit of a longer video, but has to be in detail. It's your first car. It's very important you get this right. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.